Andre was a 26-year-old woman living in Ohio with her two loyal dogs, a black Burgie named Sam and a retired police dog named Pan. Sam was energetic and intelligent, but Pan was the one who always commanded attention. Pan, a yellow husky with wolf-like features, had an air of authority despite his age of 13. Pan's origin was mysterious. The old retired police officer who gave him to Andre had found him near a remote farm in the Highlands, an area known to have wolves. No one could confirm whether Pan was entirely a husky or something else, but his instincts were sharper than most dogs. In his prime, Pan had often frightened off drunken troublemakers who thought they could harass Andre, leaving them apologizing and retreating in shame. Andre's life was simple but fulfilling. She worked 10 kilometers from home, a short drive through the serene Ohio countryside. Though she was single, her cheerful and carefree personality left no room for loneliness. Her parents lived in Indiana, and she would visit them every 1 or 2 months. When she wasn't working, her weekends were dedicated to her dogs, whether driving around, swimming, or simply enjoying a relaxing day shopping. One afternoon while Andre was at work, her phone buzzed with a call from Mary, her elderly neighbor and closest companion in the area. Mary, a kind and generous woman, often brought Andre baked goods and fruits from her farm. Her husband, Parker, was a skilled hunter, and the couple was protective of Andre as though she were family. However, this time Mary wasn't calling about baked goods. Her tone was serious. "Andre," Mary began, "you need to be careful. There's a strange cult going around lately. They're targeting people who live alone. They travel in pairs, always smiling in a way that's unsettling. If you see them, stay far away." Andre chuckled nervously. "A cult? That sounds like something from a movie." "Don't worry, Mary. ILLB fina." Still, Mary's words lingered in her mind. Later that evening, Andre decided to check her home security cameras, just to be safe. What she saw sent a chill down her spine. 2 strangers standing at her front gate, smiling unnervingly. They didn't try to enter or say anything. They simply stood there grinning for over 20 minutes. Andre almost called the police but decided against it. They hadn't done anything illegal, and after some time they placed a flyer in her mailbox and walked away. When she returned home, curiosity got the better of her. She opened the mailbox and read the flyer. "The Smile Cult. Join us and leave all your worries behind. Everything is free, thanks to our generous sponsors, including governors and celebrities within our community." Andre frowned and immediately went to Mary's house to share the flyer. Mary's face hardened as she read it. "Stay away from them, Andre," she said firmly. "I've seen plenty of strange things in my 70 years, and these groups never bring anything good. Just ignore them, and they'll leave you alone eventually." Andre nodded, agreeing that her peaceful life didn't need the complications of smiling strangers. But that night everything changed. It was a beautiful, quiet Saturday evening. After a cozy dinner with Mary and Parker, Andre returned home. She called her parents, then poured herself a glass of wine and turned on her computer to find some relaxing music. While she was engrossed in her playlist, Sam, the ever-alert former police dog, began pacing the house. It was a habit he had retained from his service days, inspecting every corner for potential intruders. Andre barely noticed. She felt perfectly safe in her little corner of the world with her 2 dogs and her vigilant neighbors. But something about that night unsettled Sam. His sharp instincts picked up on a presence near the hedge that separated Andre's yard from Mary's property. It wasn't human, or at least it didn't feel human to Sam. The figure flickered in and out of sight like a ghost, standing still and staring directly at him. Sam's muscles tensed. If he had to fight, he instinctively knew this would be the most dangerous adversary he had ever faced. Yet the figure didn't move, didn't approach, just stared. And then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it vanished into the shadows. But when it disappeared, so did Pan. Andre called for both dogs. Only Sam returned, panting nervously. Panic gripped her as she searched every inch of the house and yard, calling Pan's name, but he was nowhere to be found. Desperate, she checked the security footage. The video showed something she couldn't comprehend. Pan hadn't left the property. Instead, at precisely 9 p.m., while Sam was fixated on the hedge, a shadowy hand appeared behind Pan and snatched him. It happened so quickly and so silently that Sam didn't even react. Andre's heart raced as she grabbed her coat and rushed to Mary's house. She showed them the footage. Parker leaned forward, studying the screen with a furrowed brow, while Mary's face went pale. Her eyes betrayed a flicker of recognition, but she said nothing, only assuring Andre that Parker would search the area at first light. That night, Andre couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, finally drifting off around 3 a.m. In her dreams, Pan appeared, whispering to her that he was safe. The next morning, bleary-eyed and determined, Andre set out with Sam to search for Pan. They combed through the neighborhood and nearby woods, but there was no sign of him. As she walked, she spotted two men standing by the roadside. Their faces lit up with the same unsettling smiles she had seen on the cult members. One of them, a tall man, stepped forward. "Are you looking for your dog?" he asked, his voice smooth and calm. Andre's anger flared. She tightened her grip on Sam's leash, ready to let him attack. But the man raised his hands in mock surrender, his smile never faltering. "Relax," he said. "I'm not the one who took your dog. I just saw you asking around. I thought I'd offer my help." Andre glared at him, her suspicion growing. "If I find your dog," the man continued, his voice eerily casual, "perhaps you could take an interest in our little community. We're here to make your life better." The words hung in the air, dripping with hidden intent. Andre felt a chill run down her spine as she realized this wasn't a simple offer. It was a threat wrapped in a smile. Andre couldn't believe what she was seeing. How could Pan have two identical collars? She took the collar Parker handed her, inspecting it closely. It was a perfect match to the one Pan was wearing, the color, material, even the tiny scratches from years of use. Sam, her ever-loyal Burgie, was barking furiously, his gaze fixed on Pan with unrelenting suspicion. This wasn't Sam's usual behavior. He would typically rush over to greet Pan enthusiastically after even the briefest separation. But now he stayed rooted to the spot, growling low and hesitant. Pan, on the other hand, appeared completely unbothered. He lay calmly in his usual corner, his golden eyes half closed, as if everything was as it should be. Andre felt a chill crawl up her spine. Something wasn't right. She approached Pan cautiously and reached out to unbuckle his collar. The moment she touched it, Pan tensed. A low guttural growl escaped his throat. Not one of aggression, but something more primal, almost unnatural. Andre hesitated, glancing back at Parker. His face was grim, his sharp hunter's eyes locked on Pan. "Andre," he said slowly, "are you sure that's really Pan?" The question sent a wave of dread washing over her. Of course it was Pan, wasn't it? But the strange behavior, the duplicate collar, and Sam's uncharacteristic reaction made her doubt herself. Finally, she managed to unfasten the collar. As soon as it came off, Pan shuddered violently. His golden eyes seemed to glow brighter for a moment, and a strange, cold air filled the room. Andre stumbled back, clutching the collar tightly. Sam let out a sharp bark, his body poised defensively in front of Andre. Parker stepped closer, gripping the hunting knife he always carried at his belt. The room fell eerily silent, save for the sound of Pan's steady breathing. Andre's voice trembled as she asked, "What's happening? What do you mean this isn't Pan?" Parker didn't take his eyes off the dog. "I'm not sure, but that thing. It feels wrong. It looks like Pan, but there's something else inside it, something not natural." Before Andre could respond, Pan slowly stood up. His movements were deliberate, almost too smooth, as if every step was calculated. He turned his head towards Andre and Parker, his eyes locking onto hers. For a brief moment, Andre felt as if time itself had stopped. The air grew heavier, and she struggled to breathe under the intensity of his gaze. And then Pan barked, a sharp, loud sound that echoed unnaturally.